Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammang sanghang namasami. Dear friends, today we are remembering the parinibbana of Mahāpajapati Gotamī, who was the Arahant Bhikkhuni, the founder of the Bhikkhuni Sangha, and the stepmother of the Blessed One. The poem that I'll be reading you a little sample of later on is her Apadāna. It's said that this was composed in the 2nd century before the Common Era, which would have been approximately 3 centuries after her parinibbana, after the parinibbana of the Buddha. And I was thinking of associating this poem with the time of the great Emperor Ashoka, which is remembered as a sort of a zenith of the power and influence of Buddhism because of Ashoka's patronage. In many ways, society, this is my idea, society must have been so nervous or anxious or grieving in a way about the Buddha's departure from this world, and concerned about whether or not the Buddha's teaching and the possibility for escape from suffering was going to last for a long time. One of the feelings that I get from reading these verses and some other things that are late is a feeling that's not very different than what we might feel even today in this modern time, that like the modern world that we live in has become flat and secular and without the magic of being under the influence of such charismatic leadership, the Buddha and the Buddha's immediate disciples. And then when we look within ourselves with our aspiration for awakening, and it could be that a person would feel like the awakened ones are so far away. How can we possibly be able to catch hold of that which the Buddha was pointing out in his teachings. So the reign of Asoka, which was this time that Buddhism flourished and was commemorated in so many of the monuments were established all over the kingdom of Asoka with writings of teachings of the Buddha. So many charitable deeds were done on behalf of the Buddha's teaching, and so much support was given to the monastic sangha. Even it's said that there were monks who were powerful, fully awakened monks who were powerful, great teachers who could bring thousands of disciples to full awakening, to arahantship. And so there is this way that the zenith, the high point of the strength and gloriousness of the Buddha Sasana, the teachings of the Buddha, was still being upheld during Asoka's realm. But now, at the time that these Apadāna verses are being written, this is 100 years after King Asoka's death. And so the Sangha and the faithful ones could have been, in a way, looking in the rearview mirror and wondering about how can I not lose touch with what the Buddha taught. Now, it's because of this that the Buddha gave the lesson, and the Bhikkhuni Mahāpajapati gave the lesson also. I'm leaving now. I'm leaving this world. All things dear and delightful must change and vanish. You can't expect me to live forever in the physical form. You can't be dependent on me. You must practice on your own. You must be the island on your own. Let the Dhamma be your refuge and work out your own liberation. So I suppose to try to convert this to a aspect of the meditation method that has been taught to us as the way of wisdom would be to experience the tranquility, the freedom, the beautiful calmness of meditation, and yet to have the certain knowledge that this too is impermanent. Cannot cling to this, cannot cling to anything at all. So with this brief introduction, let's sit for meditation. Coming to an upright and balanced posture. letting go of any agitation or worry from today, letting go of any worry about tomorrow. Just here in the present moment. Aware of the physical body. Aware of the posture of the body. Aware of the contact, touching the chair, feet touching the floor or the cushion, hands touching. And aware of any sensations inside the body. If the body is relaxed or tense. Anything tight or nervous in the body, letting that relax. Aware of the movement of the breath. only the breath. Apart from the breath, any thought or sensation that comes in, breathe into that and breathe out with that. Keep awareness of the breath continuous, filling everything. aware of impermanence, continuous change in the breath. Letting everything disappear, except only the breath. Bringing in the thought of boundless compassion. As the Buddha was compassionate to us, as the Arahants were compassionate to us, so bringing that thought of compassion without limit, going in all directions, boundless compassion, filling the whole space, every cell of the body, and every cell of space, everywhere, with no boundary and with no end, endless compassion. May I be safe, and may everyone be safe. May I not lose what I've gained, and may nobody lose whatever they've gained. May I realize freedom from dukkha, and may everyone, everywhere, with no limit, realize freedom from dukkha. Mahāpajapati Gotamī is said to have been the foremost of the bhikkhunis for being old, for having a long life. When she approached the Buddha together with 500 ladies from the royal court, requesting the bhikkhuni ordination to be allowed in fulfillment of the determination that the Buddha had made at the time of his first awakening. She was already 80 years old and had undertaken so much hardship and had to ask 3 times. And then after having received the ordination, was said to be a leader and teacher of bhikkhunis. There were many other bhikkhunis who were also great, accomplished, enlightened teachers and fantastic, powerful teachers. But I'm going to take her, she then, this would have been, one source said the 15th year of the Buddha's teachings, and then others said the 5th year. But Mahāpajapati was practicing together with those 500 bhikkhunis for 40 years before the time came that she made the determination to leave this world, to undertake her parinibbana. So then she would have been 120 years old. So in this way, the great length of her life, I'm going to take this for the purpose of tonight's talk as a metaphor for how we wish that Buddhism would also have a very long life and last for a long time. It's said that on one occasion, I'm thinking maybe this was one of the previous Buddhas. In a previous lifetime, she had given a dana to the Buddha and the disciples, and in this lifetime, the Buddha sneezed, and Mahāpajapati said, "Oh, Venerable, may you have a long life." And he said, No, don't say that, don't say that. That's very incorrect to say that. And this became in one of the versions of the Vinaya, it became a minor rule, a dukkata offense, a small offense. If the Buddha sneezes and you tell him to have a long life, that would be an offense. And then in the context of this offense, he gives this entire story of how in a previous eon, with a previous Buddha, that Mahāpajapati had been very beautiful in her younger years. And then as she came to be old, she was discarded and thrown out, and I guess the king preferred to have younger wives in preference to her, so she was put to the side in her old age. And then she had the adhitthana, or the wish, to remain youthful throughout her entire life, no matter how long it might be. And then lived in Tavatimsa, heavenly realm. At this point, she was already, because of her active merit of giving the dana to the Buddha and the bhikkhus, was on the track to become, in order to become Mahāpajapati, to be the stepmother of the Buddha and the founder of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. But she had, because of this adhitthana of wanting to be young and beautiful for a long time, she got to go on in the Tavatimsa heaven together with the 500 ladies, being young and beautiful in heaven for a long, long, long time. And then, eventually was born into this human birth. So now it's said that and this is something that's coming from Vajrayana tradition. This is not in the Pali tradition. At her funeral, after her parinibbana, together with the 500 other bhikkhunis that who chose to go with her and to come to the end of their mortal lifespan, the Buddha called on the bhikkhunis he called on the bhikkhus to carry the mortal remains of the bhikkhunis on the bier to the place where their bodies would be cremated. And then, there's a tradition of using the funeral robes as a cloth to make the robes. So when they uncovered Mahāpajapati, even though she was 120 years old, she still had no wrinkles and had the beautiful young skin and the black hair and the lovely features of a 16-year-old girl. And all of the other 500 ladies also, they've been bhikkhunis for 40 years, so they must have been at least between 60 and 120 years old, but all of them had the bodily appearance of lovely young 16-year-old girls. And so this is a metaphor for, I think, this longing, this wish that the sasana of the Buddha will not become old, will not become stultified, will not become rigid, will not become senile, and forgetting the true Dhamma. Now, despite that teaching, let me see. In the Terry Apadāna, she's not a 16-year-old nubile young body person. There's one point, this is sort of in the middle of this lengthy poem, after she's already approached the Buddha and bowed to the Buddha and requested permission to take leave and to go to the end of her mortal life to obtain the final parinibbana. Then she goes to the younger generation. She went to Rahula, who would have been like her grandson, and Ananda, who would have been her nephew, and Nanda, who was her own son by blood. She went to them and she said, I'm weary of my body, similar to a serpent's den, a sickness house, a heap of disease. pasturing in old age and death, covered with various flaws and drool, depending on others. Therefore, I desire nirvana. Give me your permission, children. And Nanda and Rahula were arahants, so they were not distressed or full of grief because of this announcement. Instead, they reflected on the way things are, and they thought, woe on greed for conditioned things, worthless as banana wood, just like a deluded mirage, fleeting and constantly changing. In flux are all conditioned things. Insofar, the Buddha's aunt, the one who suckled the Buddha, Gotamī, goes without a trace. And so this is almost a rebuke of that fairy tale fantasy of Mahāpajapati being one who got her wish to have this extremely long life and to keep the young and youthful, beautiful body for a long time, and to be able to live the full lifespan without ever having to face the vicissitudes of old age and the decline of the body. But actually facing up to that is really one of the most powerful, beneficial, and helpful meditations that one could do. In order to overcome greed, to contemplate the deterioration of the body, both in this lifetime as it faces all the dangers of the various kinds of sickness. When we reach the goal, when we obtain some level of noble realization, then we will know that having a body which is subjected to decline, deterioration, pain, discomfort, even all of the disturbances of sensual pleasure, not to mention the disturbances of sensual pain, that everything that we experience within this lifespan is the result of the previous karma that has brought us up to this point. But for one who has realized the noble accomplishments, for one who is, let's suppose, a non-returner, they will know that the mind is no longer creating the kind of intentions that will lead to rebirth in this sphere. So everything within the constant creativity of the mind, which is feeding into the merry-go-round of the physical body with its five senses, and with all of its craving and desires, and with all of the qualities, tendencies, and habits of the human species, that is going to all be left behind and be completely finished at the end of this lifespan. So this is one way of understanding. It's like two parts of karma. One is the karma of the past, the karma that brought us into taking birth in the realm of the world into which we took birth. And then the other aspect of karma is the karma of the here and now that's in this very moment. And right in this very moment, one who has realized is not creating any more of the intentions that will lead to perpetuating the cycle of samsara. In a certain way, it's because I'm thinking about that I didn't talk much during the meditation tonight. I just was holding in the silence, and the silent, spacious emptiness of calm meditation, which is without words, not an active contemplation, but the spacious, silent, peaceful meditation. If that's what we have, then this is, in a way, it will be the type of mind which is no longer forming the sankharas, the formations, the volitional formations leading to rebirth. I want to read a little bit further from this this poem. Her nephew Ananda, who was then still a trainee, so he had stream entry. He had noble attainments, but he was not completely liberated Arahant. He was fond of the Buddha, fond of Mahāpajapati. He had such a special role with the bhikkhunis throughout his life. He was very often he would go to be the one who would give instructions to the bhikkhunis. You know, he would memorize the Buddha's sermons, so he knew a lot of he knew all of the teachings of the Buddha, and he was able to go in and teach the bhikkhunis in this way. And he was instrumental in their obtaining their ordination. He even at one point was criticized for being too friendly with the bhikkhunis. So he was shedding tears and wailing piteously in sorrow, thinking, Gotamī is going, while smiling. Surely then, soon, the Buddha too will be going to nirvana, like a fire whose fuel has run out. Gotamī said to Ananda, who was lamenting in this way, O son, keen on serving Buddha, your wisdom is as deep as the sea. In this way, she's counseling him very similar to the way the the way the Buddha would counsel him in a few months when the Buddha's own parinibbana was drawing close. The Buddha also encouraged Ananda and said, don't worry, very soon you will have your full awakening. So Gotami said, you really should not mourn when the time for smiling has come. Through your assistance to me, I have realized Nibbana. Being requested by you, dear, the Buddha gave ordination. Therefore do not be distressed, son. Your effort is now bearing fruit. That state, unseen by the ancients or by rival teachers, is known by Buddhist young maidens. So when they're only 7 years old, they may be fully awakened. So take your final look at me, preserver of the Buddha's words. Son, I am going to that place where one who's gone cannot be seen. This has to be our contemplation in order to become willing to let go absolutely, to let go of all craving and all clinging. If the Buddha was an eternal presence like a god or an angel or a deva or something who had a lifespan so much longer than ours and who had a lifespan longer than the period of history, who was able to always be by our side encouraging us, then wouldn't that make us be attached and have that final attachment to the person of the Buddha, to the living presence, the living existence of the Buddha? But instead we've got to realize that the Buddha came to be gone, just the way Mahāpajapati comes to be gone completely, gone. And we have to let go. The past is gone. Now she tells the story of the sneeze. One time when he was preaching Dhamma, the chief leader of the world sneezed. At that time, compassionately, I spoke well-wishing words to him. Live for a long time, great hero. Remain for an aeon, great sage. For the sake of the entire world, do not grow old nor pass away. The Buddha then said to me, who had spoken to him like that, Buddhas are not to be worshipped as you are worshipping Gotami. She asked, how then, O omniscient one, should the thus gone ones be worshipped? How should Buddhas be worshipped? Being asked, tell all that to me. And this is his answer. See my followers united, vigorously energetic, constantly firm in their efforts. That is worship of the Buddha. So this is what recently Ayya has frequently been mentioning, that we should honor Mahāpajapati with what's called Patipatti Puja, which is practicing the Dhamma in accord with the Dhamma, practicing the Dhamma in accord with the Buddha's teaching. In that way we worship or venerate and respect. So giving the flowers, having ceremonies, painting paintings, bowing, having ceremonies, those things are also good. Respect is good. To embody respect with our body and with our hand and with our generosity is also good. But the main good, what the Buddha requested from us, what he requested from her is for the Sangha, the followers of the Buddha, to be united, to be vigorous and energetic, to make the effort. And that's how they worship the Buddha. Because of getting this exhortation, and she continues, going back to the refuge, going off alone, I reflected. The Lord who reached the three worlds ends like a united retinue. Well then, I'll reach full nirvana. Let me see no hindrance to that. And contemplating that way, I announced to the Buddha, the guide, the time of my full nirvana, and he gave his assent. You know the time, O Gotami. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed, like elephants with broken chains. I'm living without constraint. Being in the best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The three knowledges are attained. I've done what the Buddha taught. I think I may pause here and invite your reflection about the futility of wanting long life, the futility of wanting long existence, and the necessity of letting go of that greed for existence, of becoming indifferent about existence or non-existence, of being ready to let go, and how this very moment in the history of the Sangha, the moment of the Parinibbana, the moment when the fully awakened Arahant goes out, leaving no track, leaving nothing behind. How that image is what we need in order to be able to catch hold of this idea of letting go absolutely. I would invite if there are any comments or questions about this teaching, about the temptation of looking for a materialistic heavenly existence, or the temptation of wanting anything at all to stay just the way it was before, of the hard medicine of seeing how everything deteriorates and falls apart, and the value of looking without flinching, looking straight at this nature of samsaric existence, in which our existence and everything that's dear is continuously falling apart and changing, continuously becoming other. And using that fact to help us soften the grip of our expectations, expecting and wanting things to be in some particular way. Letting go of all of those expectations, then becoming unshakable no matter what happens. So we can't be disappointed or disturbed if something is different than what was expected, because we're not holding expectations in that way. And with that state of mind, the parinibbana of the awakened one can be like a gate or an image or a direction or a North Star that we could see that it's possible for a human to go beyond this cycle of birth and death, to be not feeding the monster anymore, not feeding it at all in any way, not grasping on anything, not doing forming any thought or any word or any deed that would contribute to a continuation of this dukkha of samsara. Okay, I pause now and invite your comments, your questions, or your inspiration. What you find beneficial in reflecting, whether it be about the parinibbana of Mahāpajapati Gotamī, or about the parinibbana of the Buddha and of all of the fully enlightened Arahants who are the heroes. Okay, I'll call on Chintana.
So, what I have experienced this evening, I just turned blurry. She has such a calming effect that it's hard for me to actually respond. I just feel this immense calmness after studying her and meditating about her.
Yeah.
So I find that, I just wanted to say that.
Just want to say perfect. Well, that calmness is a wonderful gift, isn't it? Yeah. Even that, there's always like layers and layers and layers of things that one could cling to. Even that calmness, you could cling to that. And so one of the great reflections that's possible within meditation, even within jhana meditation or within tranquil meditation, is to realize that this state of calmness is also something that's conditioned. It's because of the practice, the training that you've had, everything that you've done, listening to the Dhamma, and practicing meditation, learning how that then one is able to go into this state of mind which is so still and so calm. But that in itself is conditioned. It's not eternal. And so then standing on that, one clings to Nibbana. Friends, I'm going to run out of juice in a couple of minutes. And
Your computer has decided to have profound stillness as well.
yes. I don't know why. No, it's turned on. Okay. Oh. Okay. There we go. Thank you. Now I'm back. So my computer can live for a few more minutes. Testing? Yes. Okay. I'll call on Richard.
Thank you, Ayya. This is a little off topic. It refers back to the Sunday afternoon class, where I made a hypothesis about Sariputta's, which one of the two possibilities was his actual attainment of Nibbana, and possibly that Sutta 111 of the Majjhima Nikaya was originally describing Mahamoggallana.
Yes.
Now, at that time, a bhikkhuni there made a comment which led me to think that maybe I didn't explain what I was trying to say thoroughly enough. And I'm not saying that Sariputta was not able to attain the jhanas and the formless states and all of those things. I'm simply saying that according to Sutta 74 of the Majjhima Nikaya, he attained his Nibbana as a one who attains by wisdom, or I prefer to translate the word as understanding, while listening to the Buddha's talk. But that doesn't mean I'm saying that he was not capable or never did attain jhanas or anything like that. I'm just making a distinction between that attainment of Nibbana and Mahamoggallana's attainment of Nibbana, where it is described that he went through all the jhanas and everything to cessation, and then from there attained Panavimukti. So anyways, it's something about the way she replied, and I'm not criticizing or anything anyway, but it made me think that maybe what I said wasn't as clear as it could have been. So I just kind of wanted to correct that. Now, as far as tonight's discussion is concerned, one time I was in a class and there was a monastic there, and I can't remember what the question was, but the monastic had decided to go around the room and ask people a question. And I think the question was like, where did they think they were going to go, when they pass away from this life? And I was sitting way in the back. So finally, went through a lot of people. I think I was one of the last, not the last one, but one of the last people. And I just remember that when it came to me, I just said, well, I know I'm not coming back here. And I remember that the monastic had a totally amazed look on their face when I said that. Anyway, that just kind of struck me as you were talking about this tonight. I remember it was kind of funny. Anyway, that's all I wanted to have. Thank you very much. For
Okay.
listening.
Thank you for sharing. I hope that in the coming weeks, we'll be able to circle back to the Karaja Kaya Sutta about the mind-made body, which is, there's some really fascinating implications there about if you're concerned about your old karma creating a problem for you or taking you to a rebirth, and you don't want to be reborn. You really don't want to be reborn, and you're worried about your old karma blocking you and forcing you into being reborn. It seems like there is a way in which the boundless meditation of the Brahma Viharas is very much associated with dissolving old karma. At least to the point of being reborn in the Brahma realm, but also very much like a powerful part of the practice of resolving old karma that can enable the realization of letting go, of stopping doing the kind of thoughts, the kind of mental formations, which is continuously creating new karma. That could be stopped. The Brahma Vihara practices could be very instrumental in doing that. So that's a forecast of what may be coming up sometime in the future, maybe next week. I'll call in Ananya.
Regarding the 16-year-old bodies, when the bhikkhunis passed in their parinibbana, I don't have a reference for anything I recall from having heard this in a sutta, but I know that it is possible to do that. If you are a really deep meditator, there's a modern example of this. Doesn't happen to be Buddhist. It's Paramahansa Yogananda, which some of you may know of, an Indian master who came to the U.S., I think like in the 30s, and then died in the early 80s or late 70s. And when he died, his body was not deteriorated, and he was like 79 at least, or 80 something when he died. And so his body was interred at one of the Self-Realization Fellowship, their temple in Glendale, California, Southern California. And his body remained intact like that. And you could go and visit it. So I don't think it's impossible, but I don't have a sutta reference that said Theravada's reference that says that can happen or did happen or whatever.
Yeah. Well, in a certain way, I think it's like a lot of times meditators might report to the teacher so many weird and wonderful things that they experienced during the meditation. And it may be that the advice they get is, well, it's not important. All the weird and wonderful things that you experience in your meditation, the main thing is to recognize it's all conditioned and impermanent.
Right,
And
that is obviously the most important thing, I think, in that
Yeah.
case, or it can be.
Yeah.
To many people, it's also evidence of the purity of the mind and the culmination of a life well lived and of the purification process of letting go.
Yep.
The degree that you don't have that,
Yep.
your body isn't corrupted. I mean, and this isn't a case where they were into his body being that way or like that was some mark of something. It just happened that way.
Yes. Thank you. There's a question in the chat about my opinion about the authenticity of the 500 bhikkhunis all looking like 16-year-olds. And I suppose in that case, since she had said that her body was old and deteriorated and drooling before her parinibbana, so that then something happened in the interval that then after her death of the mortal body returned to a youthful appearance. I have no opinion about it, but I feel that it has the symbolic meaning seems really powerful to me. The Dhamma tells us in a way how reality actually is, and also what should be in terms of the Dhamma that we should follow. And then mythology very often is just saying like what is, or telling us at a deep story level, like what is this human condition? What is it like to be human? What's the normal psychology of this human race? And so the longing for youth, or for the longing for a long life, that's like the problem that we have. We've got that longing, and so then the mythology about people, all the mythologies related to the elixir or the magical ways to obtain an extremely long life are all sort of like showing us that this is part of the natural psychology of a human, but we want to transcend that. I think that maybe.
Thank you, I just want to share what came to mind and talk about Venerable Mahāpajapati Terry as the leader she taught. That just remind me early on, she went to the Buddha and asked the Buddha to teach the women, the bhikkhunis. And after that, so bhikkhus were taking turn teaching bhikkhunis. And then when it came to this bhikkhu, his name is Nantika, he refused to teach. Then the Buddha told him 3 times, to teach the bhikkhuni 3 times until, and then after the 3rd time he agreed. So he taught the bhikkhunis. And so what this came to mind is that the well-learned bhikkhuni was very important for her, and also tied to the sutta, the Subhana Sutta, where like bhikkhus with virtues, learned bhikkhunis, laymen endowed with faith, laywomen endowed with faith, beautified the sangha. So, so I can imagine that during that time, all the bhikkhunis were really focused on learning, on being knowing, so that's why a lot of they attain all these arahantship because they practice well, they learn, and they sought the teacher. She actually went to the Buddha, and so the bhikkhus taking turn. I think right now I got a question before, said, how did bhikkhuni learn? How did women learn during the Buddha time? Because it's not being, especially in my community, it's not known how they learn. But in the sutta, the bhikkhu actually taking turn early on before the bhikkhunis were learn how to teach. So I just want to bring that. Thank you.
I think this may be enough for tonight. Oh, yes, right. I think you know this already. We're having a really super special program on Thursday night in 2 days. This is just the warm-up act for the wonderful program that Venerable Kachina and Venerable Tavira, together with Ayatollah have prepared for you. And that's going to be same channel at 7 o'clock on Thursday. Arahant Sambuddha Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamman Namasami Subharipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Namami. Thank you, everyone, for